this session, I did just hit the record button, so you are welcome to share this with other club members who couldn't attend today. I will send that YouTube link along with our meeting minutes shortly after we are finished today. We did have a few submitted questions, so if you give me 1 second, I'm going to share my screen so that you can see today's agenda. The first question actually came from the Outreach Club, and for those of you who have seen the new membership application, there is a portion at the bottom. It's number 2. I don't know if you guys can see this circled part here, but that says the fees are slightly different for an undistricted club. So we had the question from the Outreach Club, what does the undistricted, which is a really difficult word to say, part on the new membership application mean? So a couple things here. Undistricted clubs and online clubs have not yet rolled out into Toastmasters, so they will do that in the 8th rollout, which will be with regions 8 and 9. So they haven't even begun in Pathways yet. An undistricted club is a club that's not in an official district. So a district must have 60 or more clubs and more than 900 members. And an example of this is Brazil has approximately 30 clubs, therefore they are undistricted. Once they meet the requirements of 60 or more clubs and more than 900 members, then they will move into districted. So for us, and for those of you who are working on, who help with the membership applications, just pay attention to the districted part because that's what our clubs are. The second question, I'm trying to remember which club this came from. The question was, can a non-member take the Pathways assessment? And their club discussed this and thought that it would be really great to be able to have someone take the assessment, just a member or a non-member, excuse me, have them take the assessment, kind of get them excited about Pathways so that they could see after the assessment the options that are available. Unfortunately, you do have to be a member to access the Pathways assessment, so you must be able to have that login for Toastmasters in order to gain access to that. However, if you are willing to, if you want to sit down with a guest, a non-member, and show them what your Pathways looks like and what the dashboard looks like, if you feel comfortable sharing that information, you are welcome to do so. You just can't let them log in. They wouldn't have a login to be able to access the Pathways assessment. As I'm going through this also, again, if you have questions that were not submitted ahead of time, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I will be sure to answer those. The other part of today's agenda that I had sent out a message, I hope that both of you were able to check into that, but I wanted to get an update from the clubs to see how many members you might have who have already started in Pathways, if you personally have started in Pathways or at least taken the assessment. So Brandon and Long, do either of you have any updates as far as your clubs go? And I'll give you a minute to put that in the chat box. And while you do that, I can update the Outreach Club. We have 16 active members, I believe. We've had 5 take the assessment so far, and we've had 1 person complete the icebreaker in their path just last week. So we do have people starting slowly. Our club president is the one who did the icebreaker, so she's very supportive and very interested in learning more about Pathways, being a good role model for us. So she's really kind of gung-ho about getting started, so that's been really great. So again, I just was wondering if either of you have any updates as to, oh, here they come in. So Brandon, we've had a member give an icebreaker speech from her pathway, and he is preparing for his icebreaker speech at the beginning of the year. Awesome, Brandon, that sounds great. And Long, 2 of their newest members from the Pingers Club had given the icebreakers, and he does not know if either did the pre and post speech assessments, and that's okay. So that's great news to hear that there are members getting started in Pathways. And another important thing, just to remember, all new members from this point will begin in Pathways. So I know that the Outreach Club, we have 3 members planning to join shortly after the holidays, so they will get right into Pathways as well. The next part of our agenda, I've had a lot of questions about how to upload the speech evaluations in Basecamp. So I am going to again share my screen and walk you through what that looks like. And these directions will be again on the agenda and the meeting minutes when I send them out later this afternoon. So to upload speech evaluations, and remember, you are not required to upload these evaluations. That's your own personal choice. I think it's a great idea to do so because you have a nice little folder on Basecamp where you can access all of those evaluations. And also when it's time to submit for education awards, your VPE can easily go into there and see that you have the materials listed to go ahead and accept that submission. So first you'll want to go to Toastmasters International and log in, which you can see here I've already done. And then there's a Pathways tab. This is new. We used to have to go to Education and then Pathways Learning Experience. Just last week, or it may have been earlier this week, they announced that they put this new Pathways tab here. So you can access that both ways, whatever is easiest for you. So I am on the main Pathways page. Once you log into Basecamp, down here you will see My Feedback. So just a couple quick things. You'll see how to navigate Basecamp, your education transcript, My Feedback, your badges, and your speech evaluations. You may think that you would go to speech evaluations to upload that material, but you don't. The speech evaluations is where you actually are able to download the blank evaluations for your evaluator. To upload your own, you go to My Feedback. Here's where you can, oh, and I just noticed that someone left me a badge. Here's where you can award badges as well if you'd like to do that. So to upload the evaluations, you want to go to ePortfolio. So here you can see I have 0 documents and I do have 1 badge, which was the badge that we just saw listed on the first page. You would click Documents and then choose whichever level you're on. And this is, of course, based on whichever learning path you are working through. Over here on the right, you'll see Add File. And then from there, you can select wherever you might have the file in a folder on your computer or wherever that might be. And then you would hit Add. I'm not going to do that just because I don't have anything to add here. But once you do that, it would then show up there. And while we're here, I want to also talk about how to give feedback to others. So as you'll see here, I have a badge. To do this, if you want to search for someone in your club, you can go up to the top and type in a person's name. So I'm going to use Julia. We'll just click, I typed in Julia, but I just clicked on the first person whose name showed up there. And for some reason that is not working. Okay, here we go. So I just clicked on Roy Long. You can see all of his interests. I have no idea who this person is. I just, as I said, just clicked on them. So here's Roy's profile. If I wanted to give him feedback, I would click Feedback. Here I could type in, and this is a great example. You can see he has all kinds of feedback already. So I could type in here, whatever, great first, icebreaker. You can have everyone able to see that, only Roy, or Roy's managers. So that would be any of his officers that have the access to the Basecamp manager. Or you could check, a combination of those. You can add an attachment if you would like. And here's where you would choose the badge. So right now, if you recall in my Pathways presentation, I mentioned that there were 3 badges. There's the collaborative, courageous, exceptional, innovative, and inspirational. So you can choose whichever badge you would like. Leave the feedback, and then you would hit post. And that's where you would see these examples down below. So I definitely encourage you to share that feedback with your colleagues, especially those who are working on icebreakers in Pathways. And also be sure to, as you just saw when I was trying to demonstrate that, there isn't a notification that says, hey, you've gotten a badge or you've gotten any feedback. So I would encourage you to log in there every now and then and just see if anybody left you any feedback. Those were the only things I wanted to go through today. We only had those 2 questions, and we had the 2 educational pieces. So I'd like to open it up now to any additional questions or comments or concerns. If you'd like to voice that over video, you can turn your video on and your audio. If not, you can also type in the chat box. And I believe, Lynn, is that you that joined as well?
Yes. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. So Lynn, I believe you submitted the question about the non-member taking the Pathways assessment. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, did you miss the answer to that?
I did. I just got in. So.
Okay, I wasn't sure when I was sharing my screen, so I wasn't sure. The answer to that question is no, because you do have to have member login information to access Toastmasters International to be able to log into Basecamp to get to that pathway assessment. However, what I would suggest, if you're comfortable in meeting with a guest or non-member, feel free to log into your own Basecamp and just kind of give them an overview. You can show them what the assessment looks like. You can even go through it and show them, fully to the end where it gives you your 3 results of the recommended pass, and then, scroll down and show them. So if you feel comfortable doing it that way, you are welcome to do that. But otherwise, unfortunately, there's no way that a non-member would be able to do that assessment.
Okay, if I logged in but let them answer the questions, just because I've already chosen my path, but if I logged in and let them kind of answer it themselves, then it would show them. Would that be permissible?
You wouldn't be able to do that. That would change your paths because you would be logged in doing it. It would look like you were making those changes. But you could go in and show them the types of questions that are asked.
Okay.
Also, Lynn, do you have a club report as far as, how many members have joined Pathways, if anyone has given their icebreakers so far? Do you have any kind of updates from your club?
A little bit. We have 7 members, and I only got responses from 5, so I don't know if the other 2 are not, just if they're out of the office or what's going on. But anyway, 4 of the 5 are going to be using Pathways. They've all taken the assessment and have chosen the path. And then 1 member is choosing to finish his competent communicator before, but he has taken the Pathways assessment, but he's already pretty well through his competent communicator, so he's going to finish that up.
Awesome. That sounds great. Long and Brandon, for those of you who have had members give an icebreaker and start into Pathways, do you have any feedback from those members as far as if they liked it, if they didn't like it, maybe they don't have any feelings one way or the other yet? And I know they might have to type in the chat box, so there could be some silence. Hi, Joe. Thanks for joining us. Have you taken your Pathways assessment yet?
No, I haven't yet. I'm going to finish my Advanced Leader Bronze first.
Cool. And I'm doing the same. I have taken the assessment. I've picked the path that I want to start, but I'm very close to DTM, so I'm working to finish that up before I actually start in Pathways. There's a message from Long. He doesn't have information yet as far as how his club, the new members, are feeling about Pathways. Are there any other questions, or is there anything else I can demonstrate before we end today's session?
Yeah, I had a quick question. I know that Toastmasters is self-paced, but someone was asking me about how long, if someone was motivated, would it take to get through one of the paths? And I don't know how answerable that really is, if it is or not.
Let me see. That's a great question. Let me just see if I can quickly find the answer for that. I know that Jennifer Sell had mentioned that she personally thinks that Pathways goes a lot quicker than the traditional education program as far as completing things and being awarded. But let me, I just have to look through my master guide here and just see if I can get a quick answer for you. I'm not able to find that.
I mean, I guess I could look. Yeah, I could look at the one of the paths and just kind of say, well, if you did one project, you know, every meeting and kind of do it that way, you know, that's one way. I just didn't know if
Yeah.
Toastmasters International actually had a, you know, we suggest you take X amount of time to complete a path.
I'm going to keep looking into that, though. I'm going to jot that down and see if I can find a more definite answer for you. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it really depends on the motivation of the member and, you know, how quickly they want to go, how often you meet, how much availability there is as far as, you know, being able to do speeches and things at your meetings. But let me just check and see if I can find an answer to that. And then I also saw a comment here. Let me just go back to the chat box from Brandon. The biggest question / issue is the need / requirement for giving a new icebreaker speech for every path. And I've encountered that a lot. Personally, I think it's going to be hard to do an icebreaker. Every path starts with an icebreaker. So, and I've been in Toastmasters for years, five years, close to 6. So I think a lot of people already know me. So do you go in and do the icebreaker introducing yourself every time you start a new path? I know that some members have decided to, in the Outreach Club, each time they start a new path, they're going to only focus on a small portion of their life. So, for example, I've seen a lot of people come in and do their icebreakers and give, you know, a whole overview of their life. Here, you know, I was born in 1985. You know, I have all these brothers and sisters. Here's where I am now, kind of a general overview. The Outreach Club, we've talked about picking one specific thing about yourself and trying to focus on that for the icebreaker. So the icebreaker I saw the other day, she's working in the dynamic leadership path, I believe it is. So she focused her icebreaker on why she decided to choose that path. So here's some of the things she does in her role in her job as a leader, and here's things she wants to work on, and she's hoping to learn those things from the dynamic leadership path. So we in our club are just trying to take the approach like that, maybe giving an overview of why you picked the path, how you hope to learn from it. But I do know that that has been brought up to World Headquarters several times. People don't understand why each path starts with the icebreaker. The other caveat to that is you can't give the same icebreaker every single time. So that means every time you start a new path, you have to give a brand new icebreaker speech. Do we have any other questions or comments? And Brandon, just as a follow-up to that, if you share that information and if anyone has any other questions or concerns, I'm going to put my email in the chat box there. Please send them my way. I'm happy to brainstorm ideas I'm also happy to take things to headquarters. We have weekly meetings, so I do have a meeting with headquarters this evening, and they're very open to just hearing what the members think. So every time I get, comments or concerns or questions, I make sure to pass that information on to them. So if you have any other information that you need or you'd like me to pass on, please let me know. All right, folks, if there isn't anything else today, our next meeting will be on Monday, December 11th. It will be at 2 o'clock as well. We will meet in this same space. And if you have questions from you or your club members, please send them my way, and we will be sure to address them when we meet again on Monday. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.